All right, let's dive into a really clever little tale by Thomas Hardy. It's all about a con man who thinks he's just pulled off the perfect clean getaway, but as you'll see, he ends up being the punchline to a much bigger joke. It's a fantastic story about deception, irony, and one heck of a case of mistaken identity.
I mean, it's a question as old as time, right? A schemer picks out what he thinks is an easy mark, sets up the perfect trap, and moves in for the score. But what if that easy mark is actually playing a completely different game? A much, much smarter game? Well, let's find out. So picture this, a country road just after the Melchester Fair has wrapped up. It's the perfect setting for a chance meeting, one that, of course, isn't chance at all, at least not for one of the men involved.
Okay, let's meet our players. On one side, we've got George Crookhill. He's riding this pathetic little horse, but his personality is turned up to 11, all charm, all smiles. And his target, this young farmer who looks like he's doing pretty well for himself, riding a much nicer horse. Crookhill gets to work, and pretty soon, the farmer, who is a little standoffish at first, starts to warm up. It's con artistry 101. Build that trust before you make your move.
And wouldn't you know it, the weather starts to turn. As the rain comes down, Crookhill, ever the helpful new friend, suggests they stop at an inn for the night. He even proposes they share a room to save a few coins. The trap is now perfectly set. Or so he thinks.
Okay, so fast forward to the next morning. It's early, it's dark, and Crookhill's plan officially kicks into gear. And you gotta admit, Crookhill's got a system. He's methodical. He gets up before the farmer, swaps his own shabby clothes for the farmer's nice suit, and then, get this, he only takes just enough cash to cover the bill. Then he saddles up the farmer's horse and slips out. In his mind, this is a masterpiece, a clean, almost elegant swap. And here's the kicker, the detail that changes everything. Crookhill has this strange little code of honor. He's not trying to clean the guy out. He just wants the horse and the disguise. This tiny decision, his choice to leave the rest of the money, oh, it's about to backfire in the most spectacular way imaginable. So Crookhill is long gone, feeling pretty pleased with himself. But now let's turn our attention back to the inn, back to our victim. This is where the story gets really, really weird. The farmer wakes up, looks around the room, and it slowly dawns on him what's happened. His nice clothes are gone, his good horse is gone, a little of his money is gone. You'd expect some panic, right? Maybe some shouting, calling for the innkeeper? But instead of panic, instead of anger, we get this. Laughter. Not just a chuckle either. He is absolutely delighted, practically dancing around the room, grinning at himself in the mirror. It makes no sense at all. This is the pivot point of the whole story. Why? Why on earth is he laughing? This guy has just been robbed blind, and he couldn't be happier about it. What does he know that we don't? And more importantly, what does he know that George Crookhill doesn't? And it gets weirder. He doesn't raise the alarm. He just calmly pulls on Crookhill's old grubby clothes, goes down to the stable, gets on that miserable screw of a horse, and just leaves. He even seems happy that his bill's been paid for him. He's not giving chase, he's just moving on. And this, right here, is where it all comes to a head. The tables are about to turn so hard, it's gonna give you whiplash. So imagine Crookhill strutting along in his new suit on his new horse, when suddenly he's stopped by a couple of constables. And just then, who comes trotting up the road but the farmer, wearing Crookhill's old clothes? Crookhill, totally panicking, points and shouts the absolute 100% truth. That's him. He's the man. He's wearing my clothes. But the farmer? Ugh. He's cool as a cucumber. He plays the role of the outraged, innocent victim perfectly. He just scoffs at the very idea. It's an absolute masterclass in flipping the script. And you have to put yourself in the constable's shoes. Who are you going to believe? The frantic guy they just caught red-handed, dressed in clothes that are clearly not his, or the well-dressed man who appears to be the obvious victim? To them, it's an open and shut case. Crookhill's desperate truth just sounds like the most pathetic lie they've ever heard.
All right, so what in the world is really going on? Let's pull back the curtain and unravel this absolutely brilliant double cross.
And here it is, the big reveal. The man Crookhill thought was a simple farmer? Nope, not even close. He was a wanted deserter from the army. And those nice clothes and that handsome horse?
He'd stolen them a few days earlier from a real farmer. You see, the constables weren't just looking for some random thief. They were looking for a deserter, and the description was a man wearing a farmer's suit.
So let's just break this down because it's genius. The deserter steals an identity. Then he runs into Crookhill, and when Crookhill pulls his little con, he doesn't just steal some clothes and a horse. He literally steals the identity of a wanted man. He hands the real criminal a brand new disguise, a perfect alibi, and a one-way ticket to freedom.
That's the ultimate irony, isn't it? The absolute best thing that could have possibly happened to the deserter was getting robbed. It was his get-out-of-jail-free card. That double shift of clothing wasn't Crookhill's clever plan. It was the accidental final move in the deserter's perfect escape.
So, when the dust settles, what's the final score? Well, George Crookhill, our small-time con man, actually gets a pretty light sentence. Why? Because the person he robbed was also a thief. Meanwhile, the real villain of the story, the deserter, the guy who committed the more serious crimes, he just rides off into the sunset, never to be seen again. A perfect escape, all thanks to the guy who tried to rob him. And that leaves us with a pretty tricky question, doesn't it? Crookhill was a thief, no doubt. But he got punished for a crime he didn't actually commit, being a deserter, while kind of getting away with the one he did commit. The deserter, a much more serious criminal, gets off scot-free. It really makes you wonder, in a world where everyone is a con artist, what does justice even mean? What a fascinating little puzzle. Thanks for joining me for this one.